Oh, good.
He taught us.
Happy birthday.
He's a great teacher. He runs a great business.
Not just a case on your laptop?
Yeah. Yeah, just I've done my fair share of travel, so. This just keeps me grounded that we are actually part of a whole planet.
Yeah.
We have a tendency to forget that and focus too much on the local news and the world in a minute. So, this is a good reminder for me. All right, how are we doing? Flowing through all this information?
You guys were over halfway.
It is a lot. How are you feeling? Because what we're gonna talk about today, I have the feeling that it's gonna go pretty fast, and then either you do it or you don't. But what are some of the challenges that you see yourself having in the next, when you actually start getting some hands-on experience? What are some of the difficulties that you think you're gonna encounter?
I think no one like the outs of business.
Okay.
Following up with leads and everything.
All right.
Expected.
All right. Good. Following up with leads, we'll talk today. So that's right up the alley. When you were taking the courses to get your license, did you know that there was all this other world that
Not a clue.
with
Gidget said not a clue.
not a clue, not a clue, not a clue. It's good. It's good.
I feel like they just want as many people to get their licenses as they
Possibly.
can. Try to make even check and see if it's even a good match.
Well, and the problem is, and this is not rocket science, right? You don't have to have a PhD to sell real estate or help people transact. Definitely a people business and a relationship business. Okay. You were talking about selling heavy equipment. That's important, and someone already comes to you with a specific need, which is that particular equipment. In our case, we don't have a lot. We don't have an inventory of housing that we had, right? It used to be, I've been told, because I'm not that old and I haven't been in the business for that long, that there was a book that was the MLS. And the realtor will go around and carry that book, and they will hold that inventory. So if you wanted to buy a house and you wanted to know what was out there, you depended on the realtor with the MLS on his hand that got published every week with the new listings. And that's how they control the inventory. At that point, you held all that secret information that you only had. At this point, chances are your clients are going to find the homes before you do. And that's okay, because they're not looking for you to get that information that you have in terms of the booklet. They're reaching out to you because of your expertise and because you know the ins and outs of the transaction. And you know the neighborhoods, and you know the schools, and you know the grocery stores, and you know where the churches are, and the bars. So it has changed the business. So at this point, the biggest nugget I can offer you is, it is a customer experience, right? They're looking for you because of your experience and for you to deliver that experience of buying a house or selling a house. You have the expertise. You no longer hold the inventory. So it's never about a particular house. It's always about them and what they want to do. And if they're shopping for a house, there's no need to sell a particular house. You go in, you open the door, you turn the lights on, and then you try to gather from them what they like about the house. Yes, you can point what the bathroom is and what the bedrooms are. Chances are they can figure that out on their own as well. So it's irrelevant, right? And this house is perfect because you said that you needed a 3-bedroom home, and there is 1, 2, 3, and that checks, and that none of that matters. in order for you to build a relationship with them, you need to ask them what's important for them, what they're looking for, and if this product that you're showing them fits into that criteria or not. And chances are, before you can even ask them, their eyes will light up and they will let you know, this is it. We love it. Well, wait a minute. This one has one less bedroom that you say you want. Everything else clicks for them. And they're the ones that are gonna, so there is no need to sell anything. Sellers will say, buyers will buy, you're there to guide them through the process. So you're an advisor, right? So if you got into the business thinking this is sell, 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 and you will hear in many seminars, you are in the sales business, I think you're in the customer experience business. Because if they trust you, it's a matter of time until they find what they're looking for. If they trust you, they know that you're going to bend over backwards to get them the biggest net and sell their house in the shortest amount of time. But other than your image, you don't really have to sell anything. So it's about building that relationship. It's about finding out what they want. It's more about listening than talking. And a lot of us agents will talk ourselves out of a transaction. We'll talk ourselves out of a contract. So there are some times you just need to shut up and listen and see what they really want. And it comes down to that. So yes,
Kind of question.
of course.
That I interrupt.
No, you're good.
So for example, I'm a guy that is coming from Texas.
Okay,
I land and I said, you brought me, I don't know, 10 homes.
okay,
Said, but you don't tell me nothing about it. That happened to me.
okay.
You don't tell me nothing about it. Schools, this. Now, the question for you is, how important is that? Instead of giving them 10 homes, like you said, listen to them, see
Right.
what they want. Then you say, so you are very worried about the schools. So then you think about, okay, Davis School District, best schools are in Kaysville, Layton, and in Clearfield, and there. Now, my question for you is that really important to know?
That's a great question. And the answer is, it's only important if it's important to them.
You gotta know.
You do. You do.
So you gotta investigate all of that.
Yes.
Schools,
The more you become the local expert, the more relevance you're going to have with your clients. So there will be clients where that is extremely important. There will be clients that they'll tell you, I don't really care about the highest ranked schools. I want the most diverse schools. Because Kaysville, it's super vanilla, right? And some people may not want that. Some people you are from Texas. Some people come to the base. They want to see some color. They want to see some culture. They want to see something different. So it happens that there's a charter school, 100, maybe not 100, but 500 yards from the base that is not geographically bound, that if people are looking for that experience, that could be a great experience, right?
No.
So the most important is to take the time before you start going out with clients.
look at houses.
Before you do that, you sit down with them and you have a conversation with them about what's important for them. That's the key, because you're going to cater the information to what they need. Also, very important, you will always be the source of the source, but you're never going to be the source of information. If you tell them the best schools are in Kaysville and they have a bad experience, they're going to come back to you. So you're going to send them to the place where they can find that information, right? So you always want to provide the source where they can find that information. Crime rate. Some people are freaked out about sexual offenders. Guess what? They're everywhere, right? There is a website. If they're interested about that and if they want to see that, that's great. If they're worried about the crime, is downtown Ogden worse than the East Page? You know, is that better or worse than Lehigh? You're going to send them to the places where they can research that, because your opinion, when it comes down to it, it doesn't matter. It's about what they want and where can they gather the information.
Well, like you said, if you give them a bad opinion, then they have a good experience.
Yes,
They're gonna come back to you and say,
Yes.
"Hey, you told me that.
yes,
this is good."
yes, yes, yes,
That's great.
yes. They will always come back to you. So listening to them on that very first appointment, it's key. It's gonna take you 30 minutes, 40 minutes. That appointment is crucial. One, because you're gonna build a rapport with them. And two, because you're gonna gather what they really want. And sometimes there are items that they want that if you don't really scratch beyond the surface, you're not gonna get. For some people, they want the house on the bench because when they invite their friends, they wanna be overlooking at the whole lot. And for them, it's about prestige. Good luck getting that out of a client. You really have to scratch until you get to that point. For some people, it's about safety. They don't want the busy road because their youngest kid has autism. And they may not want to share that with you right away. But until you get to that point, everything else you show them, it's not going to be relevant to them because there is that one particular point that until you get to it, and you can't put a price on that. And you can't put amount of bedrooms or the age of a home for that. So the more you engage with them during that initial meeting, the easier your job is going to be, and the more connection you're going to get with them, because you're not meeting with them and sending them or going to show them houses. You're going to take the time to find out what it's really important for them. And it may take you a few questions to get to that point, right? Initially, their brain is designed to think, well, they're asking me how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, if fence or not fence, air conditioner or air conditioner. They're talking about features. All the other stuff that has a value that you can't put a price on, it's up to you to gather that information.
They haven't even thought about it.
Potentially, or maybe they do in the back of their heads, but they don't think that that's important for you to know. Okay. Anything else before we tackle this fun information I have to share with you?
I have another question.
Yes.
for you. When you do an open house,
Yes.
I was in one,
Okay.
all they do is capture the lead and they can see the home. Is
Okay.
it important to give them that kind of information, like, hey, the school system in this area are good. The days is pretty close by.
That's a great question. I'll tell you this much. It's important to know the information,
Give them for research.
but if you start telling them about all this, it almost sounds to them like you're selling them on that particular house. And your job is to find out where they're at in the process and to find out what questions they have and how long they've been looking and if they have an agent or not. And so if they offer that in terms of questions, then yes, it's good. It's good that you know it. And if you don't know it, it's okay. Because you're going to use that to say, you know what? Let me double check on that because I don't want to give you wrong information. So is this the best number to get a hold of you? Great. Now you have a follow-up reason.
Well, unless they ask you,
Yes,
they don't ask you, you don't always say it.
it's all about them. You don't even care about the house. The house will sell to them or someone else. If it's the perfect house for them, they'll tell you. But the moment you start asking them questions about them and their process, they lower the guard. Because they've been trained to, you go to a department store and the first thing they ask them is there anything I can do for you? Can I help you? No, I'm just looking. And that's the defense mechanism. But when you ask them about them and their process, all of a sudden like, oh, well, maybe he just doesn't want to sell me this house. Maybe he's interested in where we're at in this process. And that's how you have a very short amount of time to build that report. So it's good to have information. It's good for you to know what other listings half a mile around there are. It's good for you to know what prices are in the neighborhood. It's good for you to know information like that, yes, in your arsenal. But if you are going to spill all that information to them, they may not even have kids that go to school. And they're just visiting with their nieces and nephews, and they don't really care about it. So they'll listen to you, but they'll continue to look at the house, which is what they're there for. But if you engage with them and, hey, where are you in the process? How long have you been looking? Have you been looking at different neighborhoods? What have you seen? Anything that you're interested in? It doesn't matter who the listing agent is and who the company, who the brokerage is. What matters is that you're building that rapport with them. And it's about their process. Okay, if they ask you things about the house, it'll be good for you to know. Again, if you don't know, what a great excuse to follow up with them after the open house. So you have to have basic knowledge of the property, but ultimately, you don't even care about the property. You don't even care about the cookies that you're baking. It's about their process and where they're at. Okay, good. Did that answer the question?
Yes.
Cool, very cool, very cool. Anything else before we start in this? Okay, very cool. So, let's see. That's where we are in the scheme of things. You talked about all these things. We are at the point where you want to know how to strengthen relationships. So.
Right.
Is there a question?
I think so. I
Oh,
think she just copied it.
just echo or? Okay.
These are- They're on Zoom, right?
Oh, very good, very good. Who do we have on Zoom?
Hey, Jet.
Hey, Jed, hi, Jed.
How are you, Fabian?
Very well, very well. I'm glad you're joining
Beautiful.
us via Zoom. Feel free to shout out if you have a question or if you can see something or if something doesn't make sense.
Will do.
Very good, very good.
And there's a bunch, Chris saved.
Oh,
this where I-
Excellent. All right, all right.
We have.
Same for you guys as well. If there is something that doesn't make sense or you have a question or a comment, please feel free to reach out. Okay? All right. So in terms of strengthening the relationship, the goal behind this is obviously now you have some contacts, now you have some leads. We'll talk about the difference between those two. You probably cover some of that as well in the previous material. And then you need to know how to keep in touch with your people. These are your people who will be in your database. And they may also be in someone else's database or a few agents' database. So keep that in mind as well. So if you are top of mind, chances are you're gonna get to help them. If you are not, then someone else will. So the more you keep in touch, the better off you are. Let's see. First of all, you need to establish the mindset. You are going to be contacting these people with a purpose. Okay, so you are going to carry a conversation with them based on the information that you have to share with them. So what we have on the screen is know that growth comes from clarity, priorities, and focused action. How does this apply to what we're talking about? Why someone chose to put that particular quote?
You have to ask the right questions to know what they really want.
Yeah.
What are their priorities?
Okay,
Where their focus?
yeah.
And how soon the action is to take place.
And also you need to be clear on the message that you want to communicate. And you need to have your priorities straight. Is the priority to sell them the house? Or is your priority to build a rapport, right? In terms of the open house. When you contact them for a specific reason, when you start calling your people, you need to know what that purpose is and what that looks like, okay? You have seen this. What is the main difference between a lead and a contact?
A two-way conversation.
Two-way conversation on which one?
That's the contact.
That's the contact, okay? What does that mean?
Means that they were a lead
Okay,
and you then initiated, whatever, contact
Okay.
initiated, and then they go on your 19 touch.
okay,
And also evaluate where they would even be.
okay. So, great. So at this point, it's a conversation. It's no longer a phone call for you to reach out to. At this point, you have some rapport. At this point, the contact, you engage in conversations. They'll have questions. You'll have answers. The lead is just a name and a number, basically, that, yeah, you can add to your database. And after they give you permission, then it's no longer a unilateral conversation. At that point, it's a two-way conversation, like you said, okay? So you capture the lead, we talked about that on Tuesday. It goes in your database. How you capture the lead, it doesn't matter, as long as it's going in the database and as long as you use that to connect with those people. The lead becomes a contact when you do have permission to engage. There will be a series of touches until they are ready to do something, to buy, to sell, to invest, anything, to move. At that point, if you have had consistency on the communication with them, then chances are you're going to get to help them transact. Okay, and it comes down to that. This versus contact, one-way conversation versus be engaged. Focus on building relationships and take market share. So the best way you have to build your business is to have a very strong database with people that want to hear from you, and you are doing the homework to engage and reach out to them. Okay. How many times should you contact them on a yearly basis? Any? Okay. 4, 36. Anybody else?
I see 4.
4. Sold for 36. So the truth is, it doesn't matter how many times above 36. But you should think about ways to contact them 36 times. It doesn't mean that you're going to call them 36 times a year. I'm going to say, hey, how's it going? How's the family? Are you moving yet? That's not what it means. But it means that maybe you do have an event and you're going to invite them to the event and you're going to send them an email to the event and you're going to call them about the event and you're going to see them at the event and you're going to thank them for coming to the event, or you're going to let them know that you missed them at the event. That's 5 contacts right there, just from one event, right? If you do an event. Phone calls should be, depending on where they're at in the process, you should have at least 4 conversations with them. But ideally, the more contact you have with them, then the better off you're going to be. Now, there's a method to this madness, and you should follow that. That is a good method that they have. Today's conversation is tomorrow's transaction. This is true in a number of ways. And now that you're in real estate, you have your radars on, and you're gonna learn to read people when they're curious about the market or what you do, or if it's gonna crash. But my friend has been telling me that it's gonna crash for the last 6 years, and he's missed out already on $300,000 of equity because he's waiting for the market to crash. There's all sorts of information. So it's very important for you to know that you're going to have the opportunity to talk to people when you least expect it. Let me give you an example. I'm way into soccer. We love the sport. We grew up with it. There's only one sport, soccer. Everything else is secondary. Not even a sport, if you ask me. So my daughter plays soccer. She's turning 14 in a few days. And she's been playing since she's 5. We've had a relationship from the sidelines with all the parents. And the teams change and the girls come and go and people move. But there are some that you kind of stick together and you start engaging in conversation about a number of things. Well, thanks to that, I remember 3 years ago, one of the families shared that they were thinking about moving and they knew I was in real estate. And we set up the appointment. We met. Again, it didn't feel like you were prospecting and you were setting up the appointment and you were going to work. It all flowed very naturally. But they ended up selling their house in Layton, buying their house in West Layton, referring her mother and father, who were selling their house in West Valley and buying their house in Syracuse. So that year from the sideline, I got 4 transactions that ended up in about $45,000 in commission. Again, it's not always going to happen like that, but when it does, you're like, yes, finally, for all the green ones, you get something like that. So you have to be aware and you have to be able to follow those conversations because they might lead into tomorrow's transaction, okay? Once you meet your new contacts, you either do business with them immediately or you don't. Either way, once you met them, you put them in your database and you stay in touch with them forever. And that's the goal. Yes.
So I have a question. I have like a friend of mine that she uses the same real estate agent, you know, she bought and sold a couple times.
Okay.
And she just sold her third house or bought her third house.
Okay.
And I haven't really been in contact with her,
Okay.
but was she even worth contacting
Absolutely.
because she's been using the same agent
So,
and her mom uses that agent? I don't want to like,
I mean, so the relationship that they have with that agent is great, and there are lots of things to learn from that agent, but ultimately, if the friendship is there, she may be open to, she may be frustrated with the last transaction. We don't know any of that until they know. Maybe they won't give you any business, but they'll refer you business. They want to see you succeed. Maybe they'll have you as a second opinion. You never know. The truth is, they are not territory of that agent exclusively. Now they're going to be in your database too. If that agent is doing what they're supposed to be doing, chances are they'll continue to do business with them. But if they only contact her like once a year to see if they want to buy or sell something, and you're in touch with them, at some point they may say, you know what, you're hustling and you're doing this and we trust you. So why don't you help us sell our next house or buy our next
Or
house?
they
So
refer you.
like, what if you knew that they were under contract with another agent, you still?
no, that's a different story. That's a great
You
question.
can't say happy birthday.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. No, you can contact because you already have a relationship.
Okay.
So, yeah, no, you can do all that stuff. The only thing you cannot do if they are in the middle of a transaction is, would you use my services
Okay.
for
There's a
the
fine line.
transaction? There is, but, for example, they're selling the house with this agent. Have they signed a buyer broker agreement to find the other house? Are they 100% sure that they're going to work with this agent to find them a house? Maybe this agent is more listing focused, and you have the time that that agent may or may not have. You may be a better fit. So I will still pursue that business. I wouldn't say, hey, would you cancel that listing so that I can list your house? Because that would be unethical. Please don't do that. But in terms of the contract only survives to the closing. Once they get to the closing, that's a past client, but no longer a client. So hands off.
That
And
makes sense. I just. wanted to
yeah,
hear it come out
of
something
course,
like
of
that.
course. And you do have that relationship with that person. You already have permission to engage in that.
Yeah.
Now,
It's kindergarten.
right. So now if she comes to you and says, hey, my agent is telling me this, and he or she's helping me sell the house, what do you think? At that point, you have to put a little screen and say, it's unethical for me to give you advice when you are someone else's client. Unfortunately, I can't help you with that.
Really?
So, yeah.
Okay.
Any kind of advice
Like
that
if they
you
say this,
offer,
they go,
whether
no.
you're getting paid or not, if they are under contract with another agent, stay clear from that, because that could be considered unethical. Even if you have the best intention at heart, the other agent finds out, they report you, you get in trouble.
Okay.
Yes.
What if the house, can you show the house?
Are they under contract to buy a house with the other agent?
Yeah.
Then no. Why would they want you to show them a house if they're under contract? No, of course,
Like if
absolutely.
another agent were busy and they wanted to see a house like right now, you know.
And you get contact sometimes and say, hey, I'm working with this agent, but they're on vacation. That's great. When I go on vacation, I leave someone in charge to take care of my book of business. So if you want your agent to call me, I'm happy to set up a referral fee and show you homes, and I'm happy to do that. But in other words, I'm not gonna work for free. Now, the exception is, if that is your listing, your fiduciary duty is to the seller and to do everything you need to do within the law to sell that house. So in that case, your obligation is to show that house, even if you're not getting paid on the buy side. Okay. But you need to make it clear that you're not representing them and you're not going to advise them because they have their own agent. Okay. Any questions about that? Yes.
For example, so when you're gonna get a contract, you converted already and everything,
Mhm.
and the guy is ready to buy a house, you have to write a contract that you're gonna represent him on buying a house.
That is the best practice, yes. It's an exclusive buyer broker agreement. And the agreement is between them and Keller Williams. You are the agent, but it's between them and the broker. And you need to make sure that they don't have that same contract already signed with another broker. And if you're in doubt, you should ask. And if they are in doubt, you should ask for any documents that they have signed. And if they say, we've made an offer on this house, at that point, you probably know that by the time you make an offer on someone's behalf, the law says you gotta have a written contract. So if they made an offer, chances are, whether they know it or not, they sign an exclusive buyer broker agreement with another party. And it doesn't mean that it's the end of the world, but you need to work that, and you need to reach out to the other agent and say, hey, this is what's going on. And if they say, no, we hate their guts, we don't want to work with them, we want to work with you, there's always a way to work out a referral fee to the other agent, so they get paid for their time and you still get to work with them. But for that, the broker needs to agree to cancel the contract so you can have a buyer broker contract in place and a referral agreement.
You have to be very careful.
You do. You do.
When the customer approach you, you have to ask those
Yeah,
questions.
and they don't know sometimes. You know what? I signed a bunch of papers, but I don't know. It was all part of the offer, I thought. They didn't explain to me that I was gonna be bound to this agent for 6 months.
And how long, what's the expiration date, or how long you're bound to that?
However, they put it in the contract. Usually it's about 6 months, but I've seen it for 12 months.
They cannot end that contract?
People are starting to put it for 12 months now.
So the contract can be canceled, can be revoked. But it will have to be something that broker decides to do. And you should never encourage a client or a customer or a buyer to cancel that contract or how to do it. You should say, you need to talk with them. Maybe they have a solution, maybe they have another agent that fits your needs better. If you definitely don't want to have anything to do with them, then you should bring that concern to the broker. And leave it at that. Because if anybody complains that you're trying to instigate that they cancel the contract and come work with you, that's an ethics violation. Okay? All right. So we want to stay in touch with them forever. Identify the goals. Lead generation, lead follow-up, get you to the transaction. Of course, you gotta have a lead conversion for that. Let's see what it says on my end, make sure that I'm not missing any important stuff. Yeah. Finding contacts versus. I'm not that. Yes.
What would you say, is like has worked best for you when converting, open house leads
Mhm.
or, door knocking? I don't know if you do that.
Yeah.
But like, and, what's worked for you to convert them into, contacts or to convert them into basically any like through relationship?
Okay, so it's always permission based and it's always you're there to provide value. If they feel like whoever's supposed to be helping them, if there is anybody, is not providing the value and you come in with that value, chances are they're gonna work with you. Again, provided they don't have an agency agreement with them. So everything you do is designed to set up the appointment. You want to get with them at the office, not at their house, not at a coffee shop, if possible, at the office. So they know there's a business setting and there's an expectation.
So that's what you do is try to get
Yeah.
them. into the house.
Yeah. And that's, and you will get phone calls that, hey, I saw this house. I want to see this house right now. Bad idea, right? Safety wise, bad idea. Especially if you don't know the person. So you need to be able to get the appointment and get to the office. Ideally, you're gonna show them how you work and what you can do for them. And if you feel like getting a buyer broker agreement signed right there and then that's great. And if you need to show a little more skin in terms of going to show them some houses and showing them what you can do for them, that's your choice. They will always advise you to sign something before you take them anywhere. And there are some safety concerns with, showing houses to strangers.
And is that for both listing and buy?
Yeah, for listings is different. For listings, you do want to go to the house.
Okay,
And at that point, you want to see the house, but by then you're going to have some information that you gather and you probably already pre-qualify them with a bunch of questions to know their level of motivation and whether you're competing against anybody else and their expectations and their motivation. Okay. All right.
At what point, Fabian, sorry,
Yeah.
and this is totally off subject, but at what point do you question their pre-qualification?
Okay. Are you talking about their financial ability to buy a house?
Correct.
Okay, that's a great question. I will meet with them, but I will not show anybody any homes unless I have proof of funds or a pre-approval letter. So after I meet with them and after we decide that it's a good match and I can help them with this, with that, with the other thing, then I'm gonna send them to get pre-qualified. And
Okay.
after that, then we talk about showing homes. And if they have been already pre-qualified, I'm gonna call the lender. And I'm going to question the lender about whether they have done their due diligence in terms of job history and credit. And how far have they found out that they are ready to go or not? And I may suggest to these people to have a second opinion, send them to one of the lenders that I have a relationship with. Why? For two reasons, because if I send business to the lender, chances are I'm gonna get some business back. And two, because I know that my lenders, if they tell me they're pre-qualified, they're good to go. And I don't have to second guess that. But
Okay.
the Bank of Utah new employee that got to work in mortgages as of yesterday, I don't know if they are qualified enough to know if these people are qualified or not. And again, nothing against Bank of Utah, just an example. And nothing against new people. We were all new at some point. Does it make sense, Eugene?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
But I will
Fabian.
not be a taxi cab. I will not show people around if they don't have the ability to buy a house. They need to be certain about the steps. And my advice is to guide them. I mean, my expertise is to guide them through the process. And the next step in the process is to make sure that you're able to buy the house.
Mhm.
And that is either approval funds or pre-approval. Okay?
I've
Yep.
done that. And we went and saw a house that they wanted
We all have,
and it's just, it's really just, it gives them a bad
of course.
taste about you. You know, even though they wanna go see and that's exciting, and sometimes I still do it.
Yeah.
But when that time comes and they see their perfect house and they can't even buy it.
Yep.
They're gonna be mad at you for that.
And then they're gonna see everything else that they can qualify, and they're gonna compare it to the one that either got away because they couldn't afford it, or because someone else snatched it in the process. So, yeah, bad idea. So we wanna make sure that you wanna know what they want, then you wanna get them pre-qualified, and only then you wanna go out and look at homes. Okay? Does that answer your question, Gidget?
Yes, thank you very much, Fabio.
You're welcome. Of course, my pleasure. All right. Real estate mindshare positioning. This is important for you to know. The majority, the vast majority of the sellers and the buyers, they will stick with one agent that they speak with. And then there is a 15% that will look at two agents, if they want to sell their house or if they want to buy their house. So if you're at the right moment, at the right time, chances are you're gonna get the business. Okay? So staying top of mind is extremely important. Is it enough to send them a calendar once a year in December for the next year? No, they'll be thankful, they'll be in the refrigerator. It doesn't mean you're gonna get the business when they're ready to move. Okay? So convert contacts to close business, remain top of mind. Leverage mindshare for referral business. Again, throughout the process of working with them, you want to make sure that you start harvesting referral, right? If they are having a good experience, if they know that you're providing a good service, a good value, if they know anybody else that is in the same process, then chances are they'll be willing to recommend you at that point. But don't wait until after the transaction to do that. Here is the 9 touches that we talked about initially. The 4 touches, quarterly phone calls, that remains the same on the 36 touches. So when you say contact them 4 times, that's probably what you were thinking, perfectly fine. You don't want to call them every 2 weeks unless they are ready to buy right now and you have permission to do that. You have the 12 touches monthly via email, newsletter, market report, video, whatever. 2 touches on promotional or direct mail, such as a magnet. There's your calendar right there. So one of the 36 touches can be the calendar. So congratulations, you found a place for the calendar. And 1 touch on an annual event, party, movie, screening, get together, yada, yada, yada. On the 36 touches, then all of a sudden you have 26 touches with bi-weekly emails, offerings, some type of information that is valuable to them. School information. Clearfield as one of the top 5 cities in the country for yada, yada, yada.
One of the big things right now people are sending out is all the fireworks shows in the area.
Okay. So
What?
All the
Fireworks.
fireworks shows that are in Davis and Weber County.
Yeah.
Just emailing them.
fireworks, rodeos, jazz schedule, bees, I think it's the baseball team. Anything like that that provides value. And also you can send them on the mail. But if you want, you can reach out to them with a text or something, say, hey, I'm gonna be sending you this in the mail. Let me know if you didn't get it, or whatever the case may be. It could be a report of what's going on in their neighborhood or in their city. Hey, by the way, you may want to know that, and this could be via email. You may want to know that within half a mile of your house in the last 6 months, this many houses have sold, this many are under contract, this is active compared to last year. This is what's happening. I hope you find this useful. Great. Another one could be in July, August. By the way, there is a process. If you think that your house is being overvalued by the county and you're paying too much property taxes, let me do a CMA so you can go and contest that. That's a value that you can provide. And some people will call you just for that, but that's okay. That's part of being top of mind.
That could be the message for December, January, when the new letter for tax.
July.
So usually it's around July because taxes are due in November. So they send them, everybody gets, your house is worth this much and your taxes are this much. If they think that the value they're putting for the house is way too high, which the county is fairly conservative, but there was a time when prices were going down and the counties were not keeping up with that. So some people were saying, hey, they're saying my house is worth 450. I know I probably can't get more than 300 for my house. So you put a CMA together, they go to the county or they present it to the county and they adjust the property taxes based on that. So that's a great value. You can do that. What about, and this, we're getting into money right now, but what about a Popeye? What about going to Sam's and
Do you guys
buying,
know what Popeye is?
a Popeye is when you go and stop by Sam's. house.
Oh, I say Popeye.
Sorry.
Like the chicken place.
Popeye could be good too. We'll turn it down. We'll turn it down. You could make up a deal. But if, yes,
Would it be like a holiday gift kind of thing for
it could be,
clients?
but what about going to Sam's Club or Costco and buying 100 9-volt batteries? You know what the 9-volt batteries are? Okay. And then you can go visit the people in your SOI and say, hey, there is a chance that your smoke detector is gonna wear out in the middle of the night. There's a couple of these batteries that, and you know, you'll get a smile, you get a laughter, and you make that connection. You're not asking for business, but hey, keep this safe, maybe with your business card if you want or whatever. That's a nice touch. How much does it cost you? $5? So, but it's thoughtful, right? And if they're not there, if you want, you can leave it at the door with a little note or something. So that could be a touch as well. These are the small things that they're like, oh, it's nice. That's, you know, so it gives you a warm, positive feeling. 2 types in terms of events, 4 types for promotional, direct mail, yada, yada, yada. You get the point. The point of all of this section,
I don't know. Let's see.
there we go. Going somewhere.
Is it?
I don't know if we're going the right way, but.
Yeah.
Yeah?
That's it.
Okay, there we go.
Go back one more, maybe we're not.
Yeah, I think that's it, 19 and 36 touch. Okay. So you use the 6 connection questions.
Those were in the class Chris taught. The one right before this.
And that's why they sound so foreign to me, because I don't know what they are, but as long as you do, that's all that matters. Offer is make an offer for immediate response. Says right.
Oh,
So, and again, you're trying to get something in terms of a response from them. Yes,
Some MOPR ideas, one that we recently did in coaching is where you send out to your entire SOI, that's sellers. If you could sell, what price would you sell your house at today?
okay,
And then they email you back the price and then you do a CMA and it starts a conversation about real estate. So that's what.
Right.
For. And one for buyers is what interest rate would you buy your house at?
okay,
Like what would interest rates have to be for you to want to buy a house today?
interesting.
So those are just types of MOFRs that get people to respond to you.
what do you think your house is worth?
What would you sell? What number would cause you to sell
Yeah.
today?
What would be an offer that you wouldn't refuse?
That would probably be $1 million.
Maybe.
Some people answered me back $1 million, but
Maybe.
either way, it opened the conversation. for
Exactly.
real estate.
$1 million, that's great. I'll call you back in 10 years. I'll still love to listen.
I'll still be in business.
Yeah. So.
So do you guys have ideas for touches? That how ways you could reach out to your SOI, things you could do?
Besides the 9-volt battery, that's my idea, which I stole from someone.
Um,
Or whatever.
Well, for Christmas one year, I went and bought like a bunch of poinsettias and just delivered them. That was like maybe 25, 30. It was actually a lot of work.
Sure.
Going to everybody's house.
Sure.
But new idea, I don't know, like, I guess.
To be new, that's a good idea.
Well, you can do like market updates.
Yep. Yep.
That's a good
Is
idea.
that an email?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yep. And anyone else have ideas?
I was thinking of buying a Krispy Kreme. Drop a dozen or something and drop it to the house and say, hey, have a sweet day.
Oh,
That's great.
You gotta prepare for me.
I do not want you to forget on your real estate.
Well, then.
Or like a stick of
The
butter?
baseball event is just for agents.
Oh,
There's
okay.
definitely been confusion around that. The roller skating rink is
Oh, yeah.
for clients.
Yes.
Where's the roller skating?
So we're renting out the roller skating rink and you can invite your clients to that.
There's a roller skating right here.
It's in Ogden, Neptune. So that's a touch you could
So
reach.
that's an example.
Yeah.
It could be local restaurants, it could be a list of things that may be of interest to them, like the rodeos or the games or the Raptors or, anything like that. To be honest with you, you can get really creative without spending a ton of money. Sure, you can buy pies in Thanksgiving for all your clients and buy 300 pies or, for your SOI. It's gonna cost you money in the pies and the gas that you're gonna, plus you need to coordinate to make sure that you get the people, because you may not wanna leave the pie on the floor at the doorsteps. But you could also do a thank you card.
Could do a pie
Handwritten-
recipe.
A handwritten note and say, you know what? I really appreciate the people that are cheering for me in this industry, and you're one of them. So I just wanted to take 5 minutes to say, thank you. Thank you for supporting me. Not necessarily asking for anything, but that could be a nice touch. So you can get really creative. The most important of this section is to understand that you need to be top of mind of these people, because they are being contacted by other agents. They are on someone else's database. Even if they have been your clients, they are being prospected on by other agents. And if you disappear, then you're not gonna get the business. Okay? And you wanna keep the relationship, because it's not only the transactions that they will do with you, is the people that they can refer to you that will feed your business. So it's of the utmost importance to continue with that relationship with them. Combine smart plans to curate the 36 touches for your contacts. It sounds very sexual, but it's not. I don't do very much in terms of smart plans, but my assistant does. So I'm not the authority on how to work command to do the smart plans, but I know that we have them in place. And I'm sure somewhere in this
Me or Kylie.
classes. But this is a great way to get some of those touches done without you even doing it consciously. It's just, this is what the market's doing. This is what is happening. And they think that you are actually taking the time to do it. So some people will read them and they won't tell you anything. And all of a sudden, you're gonna get a phone call from someone that has been reading your newsletters or your emails copiously and want to do something. Okay.
Did you guys feel this class was valuable?
Yes.
Just like,
Saturday.
Look at you right on time.
just
I skipped through a lot of stuff.
a lot of that stuff, I think what I think the best is just actually the tip to just listen and don't try to, just let them, get the vibe, ask maybe, you obviously introduce yourself, but, just listen to what they have to say and don't try to sell them. Like, So it's like babies and dogs, they'll come to you.
Absolutely.
At least I.
Yeah.
You want a dog, you want to pet it really bad, usually if you try to pet it, it's gonna run and run and run. But if you just stop and ignore it, then, I mean, that's just a metaphor,
No, it's
No.
great.
but I just think that that's a good.
Don't pet your
like,
clients.
don't attack-
Not. But don't hurt.
Yeah,
That's a good advice.
but at the same time, know when you need to step in, so you don't lose it possible.
Yeah. Well, and if it's that's a great point. And if it's a first-time home buyer, they don't know what to expect. They're expecting you to sell them on a particular house. And during that familiarization, initial consultation that you have with them, you're gonna let them know, that's not how I work. I have clients that look for the houses that don't have a stain in the carpet or they don't want it. And I have clients that they look for the meth homes because they're about to flip them and that's how they make money. You probably fit somewhere within that range. The more I know about what's important for you, then the easier it's going to be and more effective is going to be my job at helping you find that and negotiate that. But when we go see a house, it doesn't matter. If you don't like it, we're going to find what you like. You need to let me know. But don't expect from me to tell you that this is the perfect home for you, because I expect from you to tell me when this is the perfect home for you. Does it make sense? And that relieves the pressure. Because they know that some of them think, well, they're gonna want to show me 3 houses like on the HGTV show, and I need to pick one. No, not necessarily. You're gonna have clients that say, so on average, how long does it take your clients to find a house? It varies. I have some clients that they go see one house and it's that very first home and that's their house. And is it my job to show them 50 other homes to make sure that that was the right house? What if while I do that, that house is no longer on the market? So even if I do things differently for me, you need to know that it's about them. I will never go see a house and buy that house. I need to know everything that's on the market. And I need to, but I'm an anal retentive consumer. If I buy tires for my car, I need to make sure that it's the perfect tire for that specific car for the climate where I live. My wife doesn't care. As long as the tires are fine.
As long as she has
Right,
tires.
but we shop differently. So, but if I'm going to impose the way I shop onto all my clients, I'll
You're
never
gonna
help
drive
them.
them away.
Yeah.
At least it's
I may find some that are like me on that sense, and that's fine, and I can relate. And then there are the other ones. It's an emotional sell. It's an emotional purchase. When they buy their house, unless it's an investor looking at return on investment and cap rate and all that stuff, if it's someone looking for their home, it's an emotional purchase. And they're gonna let you know when that is the right house. So as long as they know that they're not gonna get any pressure from you on a particular property, that relieves a lot of the pressure.
Like still try to get, like their name and number if you can.
Oh, no, for sure. No, we're talking about, yeah. We're talking about when we are already moving along and on that initial consultation before we go
Oh, yeah.
look at homes. But we already met and we already, they already gave me their number. They need to know that you're very good at negotiating when it comes down to that, but that you're very laid back when it comes to showing them what's available. And there's not gonna be any pressure of, oh, this is perfect because of this or this and this. You said this, and this one has this. It doesn't matter. If they like it, they like it. If they don't, they don't. Now, if you see a material defect on the house, if you see that the foundation's cracked, if you see that the roof is all raggedy, even though you're not an inspector and you need to make that very clear. If I were buying a house and I know nothing about that, I would expect the expert to point those things out for me. So I will point out. Well, is that a huge crack? Is that a deal breaker? Well, I don't know. I'm just seeing it. And if I were in your shoes, I would want someone to point that out to me. That's a good question for the inspector if you get that far into the process. That's a good question for a structural engineer if it's big enough or if it's shifting. So again, don't be the source, but be the source of the source. But give them the pointers of where to find that information. But if you see that something is if you see watermarks, if you see anything that would be a concern to you, you might want to point out. And if they say, oh, that's not a big deal. My wife is an expert in construction.
No, that's
Right.
not a crack, that's not a foundation.
My uncle can fix this with their eyes closed. Great. But the fact that you're pointing out to them, it means that you're not looking to make a sell, you're watching out for their best interest. And they appreciate that.
Got their back.
Because you don't want the phone call. You sold me a house with a crack foundation. Afterward, of course, they're gonna have opportunity to do inspection and everything. So we are done in terms of the material. Is there anything else that you wanna know? Or do you have questions about this material or about anything else? I'm sensitive of your time. I don't wanna keep you here until midnight, but
Oh, yeah. Do you feel like you do anything special in your business to cement the relationship with people? Cause I've door knocked, Fabian knows this, I door knock a lot and I've door knocked people and they say, no, Fabian's my agent.
honestly,
More than
I'm
that.
dead serious. More than once.
to be honest with you, I'm not as good as I should be, and I'm not as methodic and as organized as I am. I
But you're
think-
doing something.
I
right
think
for
I
them
do,
tonight.
yes, yes. I think I do.
'Cause I'm pretty good.
And I have no doubt about that. But I try to stay in touch, especially the people that have referred me business. I do hold them in high regards and I continue the relationship with them. But honestly, that's a huge area of opportunity for me. I could be doing much, much better. And I'm sure I've lost business over the years for not being consistent, methodic, and for not having been exposed to all of this that you're getting exposed right from the get-go, right? Because I've only been with Keller Williams for the last 3 or 4 years, and I've been in business for almost 18 years. So a lot of these methods and systems and models are somewhat new to me. And there are some of the reasons why I am a Keller Williams. Because I need them. Because my brain works like this. So this keeps me grounded. Right? Okay, great question. Anything else? Any questions? Any comments?
Might give you a comment.
Yeah, okay. Tell me.
Not now.
Oh, okay.
Your phone number.
Yes, yes.
Oh, she wasn't here last.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
I did. Let me grab one of my business stuff.
Hey, come back to the floor.
I know, that's what I just found that out today.
But I give her my phone number so she could call me if she needs.
You got a lot of time and I can't read it, she's telling me.
Yeah, I like to have the instructors and numbers for printing. They don't give it to me. I don't give it.
Yeah.
Sorry, and I said this to them last time. Anything you need, if you can't get a hold of, you're welcome. If you can't get a hold of Rusty, you can't get a hold of this wonderful woman, if you can't get a hold of Sean Jenke. If you just have a question, if I know it, I'll tell you. If you're looking for my opinion, I'm gonna give you my opinion. I am an open book. I don't have any secrets, and I do think that the pie is big enough for everybody. So anything that I know, it's probably that I stole from someone else. And you're welcome to do the same thing. The rip and duplicate is perfect in this business. So if it's working and if it's working for me, I'll tell you. If it's not something that I do, I'll also tell you. Okay? We good?
Sure.
All right, thank you. Thank you for your time and for hanging. Everybody's awake at 7:30. I appreciate that.
Thanks.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Fabian. Have a great evening.
Thank you, you too. Peter.
Thank you.
Allison, my name's Allison.
This wonderful woman is, name is Hans.
I have a couple questions for you.
Okay.
It's good. We have our